Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all.
Travis here, Master Trainer at 24 Hour Fitness here in the Woodlands. We're going to cover an exercise called the KettleBell Deadlift. And first of all, let's cover the benefits of the deadlift. It's a total body exercise. Basically a must-do. If you were going to do 3 exercises for the rest of your life, this should be one of them. Or some form of deadlifting, maybe it'd be with a barbell, but the techniques can be very similar here with the kettlebell today. And basically the reason why we should have that as like one of the top 3 exercises is because of the bang for your buck issue, okay? We've got top to bottom, head to toe, everything's firing off here in the body when we're doing this properly. Sean Glowacki here demonstrate for us. We're going to cover the setup real quick. First thing we want Sean to do is focus on finding the crease in his hips and driving his hips back as far as possible, okay? What we don't want to do is turn this into a back extension exercise, okay? It's definitely not a back extension. So he's using his hamstrings and glutes, okay, right here and here to pull his body up to a neutral position. Very nice, okay? This is a good exercise right there just to practice. If you haven't done anything all day, get up and do about 5 to 10 repetitions of that. A couple of sets of that, I guarantee you'll start to loosen up, start to feel a little better. Okay, so now moving on into the deadlift. We have our bell here, all right? Our kettlebell, so you can see at home, all right? We're going to have Sean step up to the bell where his feet are bisecting the bell, okay? To where that handle of the kettlebell is basically going to be right around the arches of his foot or slightly in front of his ankles. Now we're going to drive those hips back with that crease in the hips, and we can have a slight bend at the knee here, allowing us to sit back further into it as if we're sitting into a chair. We're going to reach for the handle of the kettlebell, and what we're going to do here is we're going to try to break the handle with our grip, okay? When we do that, you see how Sean gets his lats engaged here, okay? Okay, just stand up without the bell for a second. All right, so this is pretty good setup here for his initial setup. All right, we're going to get him even tweaked a little more to where we're a little further back into this sit here. So let's drive those hips back again. And a little more flexion at the knees here. And what we want to do is have Sean think about pulling his shoulders through his hips. And I'm just going to have Sean sit here for a second so we can go over the muscles involved. We have our lats involved here. We have our glutes involved here. We have our hamstrings and even a little bit of calves, okay? And especially we must keep this spine nice and arched in its natural curvature so that we can get the muscles engaged properly that we're trying to utilize here. We're going to get him back into this position, tighten his form up a little more, and then we'll get into the actual exercise itself. Very good. He's sitting back as much as possible, like he's sitting back into a chair. One more knee bend here. Sitting even further back, engaging those lats by pulling those shoulders through the hips. And now what we're going to think about here is telling Sean to drive those heels through the floor, okay? When we do that, we'll recruit our glutes and our hamstrings to basically pull the weight up, so to speak. So let's do that for heels through the floor. Very nice, okay? Now notice how Sean came up to a nice upright position. He's got a very neutral spine all throughout this, okay? Let's go back, set the bell back down on the ground. One thing we don't want to see here is flexion of that spine. And most people, when they initially start doing this, will do this. So let's give a bad rep demonstration. We're going to loosen up in here. All right. And you see right there where we have all that flexion in the spine. We don't want that, okay? We lost our neutral spine, which we're always trying to have here. This exercise is ultimately a way, think of as far as increasing posture, it's an exercise of just stabilizing your spine under an increased load or amount of weight. Right now we're using the kettlebell as our tool of choice here for this. So let's get back into this. Hips back, good. Sit back into it. He's loaded here on his backside, his hamstrings, his glutes. We're going to drive those feet through the floor, heels in specifically, standing up to a nice tall position. At the top here, Sean's abs should be tight. He should blow all that air out of his body, so at the top, he is total body tightness from top to bottom. Same thing, let's get set up again. And once we get set up again, his spine's nice and neutral, sitting back on his heels, feet are flat. We're going to take a big breath in through the nose, Sean, and blow out. Very nice, as he's standing up. So let's do that one more time so our folks at home can see. Very good. Hips back. Breathing in through the nose, creating that total body tightness, tension, heels through the floor, standing up, blowing out. And you can hear that hiss. That hiss is good. There's nothing wrong with hissing. We're getting maximum contraction out of our abdominals here at the top of the movement. So back down. You don't have the range of motion to get into these progressions of this exercise. What we can do here is you can grab a step or a box of some sort and basically set the kettlebell on top of that box. And now we're going to bring Sean right back into the same position here. His feet are ultimately in the same position, okay? Bell's a little higher up off the ground, so he's easily able to get into this position. And you can work starting off doing this and work down to the floor. Same technique for everything else involved here. Okay? We don't want to have any abnormal curvature of the cervical spine here. So if Sean can tuck his chin a little bit and focus on looking at the horizon, that's ideally what we'd like to do. Maybe even tuck the chin a little more, Sean. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so now we have kind of a natural curvature here of the cervical spine as opposed to an excessive extension. And heels through the floor, standing up. Very nice. And back down. Very good. Now, there we go for our key tips to the deadlift, the kettlebell deadlift and specifically. And just like with any general exercise progression, we should always make sure that we're cleared by medically certified professional before we engage in any kind of fitness activity.